Hello to all the beautiful ladies. We're here to continue our weekly classes on Zera Shimshon, and today we're going to have a beautiful insight from Rabbi Joey Haber's class that I attended. I took some notes, and I would love to share with you. Let me just read the dedication list one more time. Just a moment. Just a moment. Okay. The class is sponsored and dedicated Leilu Nishmat Avraham ben Tamara, רפואה שלמה, גבריאל בן אמא שלום, אסתר בת תמרה, זיווג שלמה בן תמרה, Sarah בת רגינה רחל Esther. May the shiur be dedicated for the safety and the well-being of all. Just a moment. Somebody's asking me. Okay, for Aliyah Neshama of Robert Fleischman. What's his mother's name? Okay. And for the Zechut of Beryl ben Scheindel. Okay. Forgive me for the interruption.
Esther, could you please also mention hostages? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
B'ezrat Hashem and the Zechut of all the hostages, every single one of them, including David Eviatar, Rom Braslavsky, and all others who I may not know by heart, may they all be included in the Zechut of this shiur. May they all be safe and sound, and may all come back immediately home, alive, safe and sound and healthy. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should protect all the pregnant ladies and have easy all the pregnant ladies should have easy pregnancy, healthy baby, right position of all the babies in the right position, healthy, easy labor and delivery, healthy babies coming to this world, healthy mother. And whoever has anything that has to do with their businesses should go well. And parnasat tova ad blidai. And just give me a second. May it be for a zechut of Leilu Nishmat, Rabbi Zachariah Shimon Wallerson ben Yitzchak Cohen, Dr. Zelenka Velvel Zev ben Leah, Rav Chaim Kanievsky, Ushua Shura bat Chusni, Spora Chai bat Sarah, Sarah bat Chusni, Chusti bat Marit, Roski ben Khan. Let it be for a zechut of every single sponsor who sponsored today's class. Let every one of you be blessed with parnasat tova ad blidai, with the health, with briyut, with aliyah neshama, whoever needs aliyah neshama, with shidduch, whoever needs shidduch, with the refuah shlema, whoever needs refuah shlema, including refuah shlema, Yonatan ben Ila ve Israel. My nephew's son in Israel, 6 years old. It's heartbreaking. They went, mother's sister had a baby on Friday, and the mother went to visit her sister with her child. And unfortunately, the child went to some place. There was some kind of a place for a child to play or something, and he put his leg where he wasn't supposed to, and the machine was, I guess, circling and was not safe, and it broke his leg in 3 places. And he needed emergency surgery. Right now, he's home. He just came home. And 6 years old child. So Jonathan ben Ila and Israel, רפואה שלמה. רפואת הנפש, רפואת הגוף בקרוב. Also, רפואה שלמה, Maxim Yehuda ben Yafa. Also, Moshe ben Yafa. Maya Mazal bat Riva. I'm sorry, Maya Mazal bat Ziva. רפואה שלמה. Maya Mazal bat Riva to have kids. Sarah bat Shoshana to have רפואה שלמה. Moshe ben Yafa, Maxim Yehuda ben Yafa, Hannah Bracha bat Tzfan Tzipora Chaya, and all the sick people of Klal Yisrael should have complete refuah shlema. May all the hostages return home immediately, alive and healthy, and may Israel be able to bring all of them home. May Kadosh Baruch Hu have rachamim on all of them, all his children, and may all the sick people should have refuah shalema. All the singles should find their right zivug, and it should be bekarov and easy and smooth, including Marlena Bracha bat Sarah, Leah Aronov, all the good girls that I know. Whoever I mentioned, whoever I didn't mention, they all should be included. Yakovitz ben Esther Malka, Malkil ben Ashur Shura. Hashem should have rachamim on his nation, and Hashem should forgive all of us, and we should be forgiving. And we should all do Teshuvah Shlema B'Karov, and Mashiach should come Barachamim Tolim. Okay, we continue learning the secret to Simcha. I love this booklet. We are on page 55, day 23. The days before the arrival of Mashiach. Let us remember that the days of Ikvesa de Mashiach, the days before the arrival of Mashiach, are coming swiftly upon us, and we will then exult with profound ecstasy that we have worked on the fundamental midah of Emunah. Why is this midah so holy? Because our thoughts represent our essence, since our thoughts affect our deeds. The power, the power of thought is so great that in 1 minute, excuse me, that in 1 minute, we can, so to speak, build a complete fortress, which in actuality takes years to build. With the thoughts of Emunah and Limud Zchos, we can build great palaces in the eternal Gan Eden and prepare the world for the coming of Mashiach. When Umale haaretz de'a et Hashem kemayim leyam mechasayim. The world will be filled with wisdom, which in essence refers to thoughts, just like the mighty waves cover the sea. May we merit this speedily in our days. It is brought down that before Mashiach comes, there will be a hunger and a thirst, and people will wander about with confusing thoughts of anxiety and fear. Even those who are steadfast in the observance of mitzvahs will feel that they are lacking satisfaction. Yet, there will be one thing that will help sustain us in this time: Emunah. Only with thoughts of Emunah will we be able to feel fulfilled and experience true happiness in life. We see in today's time how everyone is searching for meaning in life and therefore tries to involve themselves in something. One person is obsessed with cooking, one person bakes a whole day, another person's day is consumed by shopping sprees, and yet another person is constantly busy redecorating her house. Nevertheless, all these people feel an emptiness in their lives, and they ask themselves, what will I gain from all this? Rav Yaakov Meir Schechter, Shlita, said that the feeling of emptiness in today's days can be compared to a rampant disease. How do we rise above all these unpleasant feelings of purposelessness? Through thoughts of Emunah, our lives become transformed. Only through our steadfast Emunah can we feel fulfilled in the difficult days before the coming of Mashiach. Let us strengthen ourselves and hope to Hashem, as it is written. Chazak v'yametz lavech v'kaveh al Hashem. Because there is a treasure house of goodness awaiting us as a reward for our toiling in the precious mitzvah of bitachon. When Mashiach will come, Hashem will gather all our thoughts of Emunah and will repay us for every thought. This reward will be greater than the reward for any other mitzvah, because the purpose of the whole Torah is to reach the level of believing that ein od milvado, nothing in this world can harm us or help us, only if Hashem willed it. Everything in this world is a manifestation of His glory. Wow. You know, recently, just a couple of days ago, I'm sure you're all aware, the Hamas, they released the videos of two hostages, that of David Aviatar and Rom Braslavsky. They both look very sick and very, very malnourished, extremely malnourished, like living skeletons. And I lost sleep for the past 2 nights. 2 nights it was out, 2 nights I lost sleep. I couldn't fall asleep. I almost cried, and I asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu to have rachamim on his children. And the only thought, I went to sleep like maybe 2 a.m. The only thought that I was able to tell myself in order to calm myself down so I could fall asleep is by saying to myself, there is nothing in this world but the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Ein od milvado. Nobody can hurt us or harm us unless Hashem allows it to be, for whatever reason. And everybody is in the place where they belong, where they need to be. Everybody is in the place where they need to be at that moment in their life, in their lives. And not only that, every neshama, before they come downstairs, they're given their road of life that they're going to take. And they agree and sign under it. And they say, I agree, I would like to take this mission upon myself. And a lot of these hostages that we see, they're holy people. They are holy. They sacrifice their life for the Jewish nation because they chose to be the victims. For whatever reason, the neshama has to go through this. But we, every one of us, have to do something for them because they're doing it for us. You know, Rabbi Joey Haber used to say, whenever something bad happens to somebody, to your neighbor, look at yourself and tell yourself, Hashem really wanted this to happen to me, chas v'shalom. But Hashem is so kind. Hashem says, you know what? I'm going to bring it onto your neighbor for you to see and do tshuva. So you will be aroused by looking at your neighbor and doing tshuva. And by doing that, you are not allowing that anger of Hashem to be directed onto you, chas v'shalom. Because why? Because you took the message correctly. You took the message correctly. Bezrat Hashem. And today I spoke to the girl from our class, and when we were schmoozing, we didn't speak for a while. She said, I told her that I lost sleep for 2 nights because of what Hamas released, the videos of emaciated hostages. And when I mentioned the names, she goes, "Oh my goodness, I daven for David Eviatar every single day." And I sent her from YouTube how this guy looks. She looked at him and she couldn't believe it. She's davening him every single day. I said, "You see, because you kept him in your prayers for all these days, probably that's what's keeping him, also giving him strength and kept giving him alive." Could you imagine? Could you only imagine? Forgive me. Okay, we continue. Bezrat Hashem and the zechut of our learning. May all day be safe, and may their captors have rachamim on them. May Kadosh Baruch Hu have rachamim on them, and may they have chen in the eyes of their captors. You know, every time when in the beginning of those hostages that were returned, when they were interviewed, and I listened to those interviews, one of the few things that I picked up was these hostages. They would say, number one, we tried to not to be argumentative or anything like this with our captors, to be obedient. And number two, we tried to find favor in the eyes of our captor, that they should like us. I was like, wow, that's so smart. This is so genius. You understand? So genius. I'm sure it depends which captor is a captor. But I'll never forget that girl, if you remember, I forgot her name. Argaman. Her last name was Argaman. Mia or something? Don't remember. She said the captors by who she lived, they told her that she was the sunlight. She was like a sunshine. When she came to their house, she was cleaning, she was cooking, she was in the kitchen. She had access to food because she came out. She looked normal. So they told her that you are the sunshine in our house. Something about you, that you are a sunshine in our house. Imagine. You need a mazel in everything. Okay, we continue learning Zera Shimshon on Eshes Chayil, and we are on page 235. Okay. My tent or your tent on Eshes Chayil. From there, Avram relocated to the mountain east of Beis El and pitched his tent, and with Beis El on the west and Ai on the east. And there he built an altar to Hashem and invoked Hashem by name. Bereshit 12:8. So the Shimshon says something beautiful. It says, Rashi says, Avraham Avinu first pitched Sarah's tent, and only then, when hers was up, did he pitch his own. There are two words that are mentioned here. It says the word is called mikra, which is the way we read a word in the Torah, and one word called masoros, which is the way we write the word in the Torah, even though at times it is not pronounced the way it is written. So it says that her tent is ohel, her tent ohala, but there is a spelling difference. It says that we pronounce the word ohalo as with the hey at the end, as if it were written with a vav at the end of the word ohalo vav, his tent. So why are we discussing this? The word is actually written ohalo with the hey, ohel and then hey, with the letter hey at the end, which can mean her tent, ohalo, female. Rashi explains that the fact that the Torah wrote the word in such a way that one would think it is referring to Sarah's tent teaches us that Avraham Avinu erected his wife's tent before putting up his own. The Re'aim, Rav Eliyahu Mizrahi, has a problem with this reasoning. He writes, elsewhere in the Torah, we do not derive the order of events from a discrepancy between the way the Torah is written and the way the Torah is read, between Masoret and Mikra. So he declares it cannot be done here either. Yet, if that is the case, on what basis does Rashi learn that Avram pitched Sarah's tent first? Now, even if you say that Rashi knows this because it seems to him that such an idea makes sense, since, as we know, a person is obligated to honor his wife more than himself, we're still left with the question. Why did Rashi say that the word is written ohalo with a hey, her tent? Wouldn't we have assumed that Abraham would put up his wife's tent first? Isn't it like a common sense? Why are we praising Abraham Avinu for erecting his wife's tent before his own? Isn't that every person is supposed to do? And why 2 tents? So it says that, wait a minute, Avraham Avinu and Sarah, they were husband and wife. Why do they need 2 tents? They like 2 houses. 1 tent is enough. Why do they need 2? Rashi explains, Bereshit 31:33, that Yaakov slept in Rachel's tent, though he had 3 other wives. He did not have a tent of his own. Avraham Avinu had only 1 wife, Sarah Imenu. It would seem that he should have slept in her tent. So why did he pitch his own? You understand the question? The Rosh Shimshon provides several answers. In order for us to understand what was going on here, we first need to know that the reason Abraham was building the tents was to host guests. After I read this in the book, I said to myself, I should tell my husband to build a house for the guests and convert them to believing in Hashem. Abraham operated a hotel, so to speak, where he would feed travelers and wayfarers by providing them with the food. He had the opportunity to teach and convert them. Again, food is the key. As a good host, Abraham would give his guests a private and modest place to enjoy their meal, a tent. And while they were eating, Abraham would speak with them and tell them all about Hashem. We learned this from the words, and he invoked the name of Hashem, which the sages tell us means that Abraham taught the travelers about Hashem's name. So in other words, the second house, it was for the guests. But wait a minute. So we know that the tents were being built for kiruv purposes, to bring as many people as possible to believe in the one God. Because of this, they needed 2 tents. 1 for Sarah Imenu for teaching the women, and 1 for Abraham who was converting the men. The pasuk therefore writes the word ahalo, her tent, with a hey, and it is read ohalo, his tent, with a vav. And both of these things are true, since there were 2 tents, which were equally necessary. With 2 tents, Avram could work with the man and Sarah with the women at the same time, but in separate places. From here we learn tzniut, modesty. Since Avram Avinu put up 2 tents, the Torah informs us that he put his wife's tent up first. Ladies first, before Matan Torah 2, Hashem had Moshe speak to the women of Klal Israel. First, as it says, so you shall say to Beis Yaakov and relate to Bnei Yisrael, Shmos 19:3, the members of Beis Yaakov, that is, the women were called before Bnei Israel, the men. May this shiur also be dedicated for Zechut Nathaniela Abigail Bat Zoe to have beautiful baby this year. And everyone who needs it. Ronit Bat Bela Bracha, my Mazal Bat Riva. The Midrash relates in Bereshit 17:7, a pious man and his equally pious wife got divorced. The pious man remarried a woman who was not on a high spiritual level. He ended up becoming like her. The pious woman married a wicked man, and she turned him into a pious man. From this story, we can see that a wife has a powerful influence on her husband, and she can help him become a much better person. And this is why the Torah was given to the women first. Because if the women of Klal Israel wanted the Torah, they would cause their husband to want the Torah too. The Shimshon continues, and because women influenced the men, Sarah was more successful at converting the women than Abraham was with the men. Why? Because a woman who converted would not waver in her commitment, even if she married someone who was not as committed. But a man might falter if he married someone who did not recognize Hashem. You understand? When the pasuk tells us that Abraham erected 2 tents, learned from the usage of the ahalo with a hey, which is read ahalo with a vav, we can say that the reason the pasuk went out of its way to stress the point of the 2 tents was because the Torah wants us to know that he erected Sarah's tent first and then his own. Just to teach us that he has to take care of the wife first and then his own need. Now, if the pasuk's point was for us to know that Sarah was also converted women and thus needed her own tent, we already learned that fact from the words in Bereshit 12:5. The souls they made in Haran, which Chazal explained refers to the men and women that Avram and Sarah converted. Since this is the case, the fact that the word is written ahalo with a hey, even though it's pronounced with a vav ahalo, is coming to teach us something else. What is the pasuk teaching us? There were 2 tents. That Avram pitched his wife's tent first because it was more important to convert the women than the men. Since they are the ones who motivate, inspire, and cause their husbands to become great. You hear, women? With this, we can also answer the Re'aim's question as well. He pointed out that we do not figure out what happened earlier or later in the Torah from the Mikra, the way something is read in the Torah, or from the Masoras, the way it is written. So why are we saying that it is clear from the way the Torah wrote the word that Abraham put hers up first? The Shimshon says, the Torah is alerting us to the fact that Abraham made sure that Sarah had her own tent. She was also heavily involved in the joint outreach operations with the women and not the men. And therefore she needed her own tent. And not only did she need her own tent, but the Torah wants us to know that it had to go up first, because converting the women was more important than converting the men. We can also answer our second question. Why do we even need a pasuk to teach us that Abraham put up his wife's tent first? Isn't it obvious that Abraham would do that? We need the pasuk to tell us that he put up 2 tents, and Sarah's first, so that we will understand that it was more important to convert the women first. It is also making sure that we comprehend that since Sarah was working with the women, she needed a separate tent, since it wouldn't have been modest for the man and women to have been taught together. As a matter of fact, one of the special ladies from our class, Nechama, told me that when she learned in Israel, their rabbi told them that he had a choice to teach, and he was before, teaching men and teaching women. And he told the ladies that he chose to come and teach ladies in the lady seminary. And the reason is, he said, because if the woman is strong with the Torah knowledge and conviction that this is the right way to do it, she will change her family with her Jewish wisdom, with her female wisdom, and she will do what she needs to do as a wife and as a mother, with the husband, with the children, with the household. Whatever has to be done, she will slowly turn things around. Would it be a kosher kitchen? Would it be a modesty? Would it be covering the hair? Would it be Shabbos? If the woman wants, it's possible. But if the woman doesn't want, it's very difficult. Unfortunately, I know many families that when the man became more observant, when I know families, I'm sorry about that noise. People forget that they're on the mute. They have to be on the mute. Families where the husband became more observant and the woman was less. Woman was giving him a hard time. And it led to the divorce, unfortunately. And I know vice versa. When a woman became more observant and more following the path of the Torah, and he was less still, the husband, she slowly, with the patience, with the savlanut, with the love, and with the gentleness, and with the pleasant way, she slowly pulled him in, slowly, but she was able to get him in, following Torah path. Loyalty above all. Please say that you are my sister, so that it will go well with me because of you, and that I will live on account of you. Bereshit 12:13. The Shimshon asks, why did Avram say so that it will go well with me? Another question. The obvious meaning of the statement, so that it will go well with me, is that Avram would receive gifts from the king in exchange for the woman they assumed was his sister. But did Avram Avinu think for a second that Sarah would want to be put into such a situation? Even if they would be given presents, and even if Hashem would no doubt come to her rescue. And if you say that the main point of those words is that Avram's life would be saved if the Egyptians believed that Sarah was his sister rather than his wife, we already know that information from the previous pasuk, which says that if the Egyptians find out that if you are my wife, they will kill me and let you live. So what could Avram have meant when he said, so it will go well with me? So the Shimshon answers, Avram Avinu was telling Sarah two separate things. First, I want you to tell the Egyptians that you are my sister, so that I will be saved from death. Since the moment they realize we are married, they're going to kill me, so that you will no longer be a married woman and they could abduct you. Second, I'm sure that nothing will happen to you and that you will remain loyal to me. I'm also sure that Hashem will save me and give me brachos in the merit of your loyalty. Proof of this is found in the Gemara in Bava Metzia 59a that says a person should always be careful to treat his wife with honor, since the blessing in the home comes only on account of his wife. If he respects her and gives her proper kavod, and the wife feels good with him, the blessing will come. You hear? So here is still another question. So what does the blessing in the home come? Why does it come only on account of the wife? The answer is that this is referring to a woman who is loyal to her husband and whose loyalty brings blessing to their house. The Midrash in Shmos Rabbah 51:1 states, Hashem brings blessing through people who are loyal. Therefore, when a woman is loyal to her husband, Hashem sends his blessings. You follow? This then was what Avinu was telling Sarah when he said, so it will go well with me. Not that he was counting on receiving presents, because the Egyptians would abduct her. Rather, since he knows that she's completely loyal to him and would never agree to do anything that would compromise their marriage, he's 100% sure that blessings will come his way and everything will work out for them in the best possible way. The Rosh Hashon's commentary on these psukim makes clear the importance of the Eshes Chayil's contribution to the well-being of the home, either because she is the one who keeps her husband strong in his convictions, or because it is through her loyalty that blessing comes to their house. In the following story, you'll read about an Eshes Chayil who characterized the traits of Chesed and Emunah and the incredible blessing that came to many houses in the wake of her actions. Give me a second. The first email was sent out to the members of the local Neshe by one of their own. Listen to what happened. Sunday, August 23, 2020 at 7:48 p.m. Subject matter of the email: you can make a difference to someone I know. Hi, ladies. There's a very special girl from my seminary who's getting married next week and who does not even have the cash to buy herself socks. Her chassan is from a broken and complicated background. I was wondering if any of you have any towels, linen, or anything nice or new that you can give her for her new home. I'm turning to all of you because I really hope that her home will not be completely empty when she moves into it. If anyone has anything for the cause, I will be happy to pick it up and have it taken to her. I feel very uncomfortable writing this email, but because I got to know our group, I felt able to do this. I know you will want to help, and I will try to do what you can. Thanks for being such an amazing group. I hope that we never need to post such emails again. Waiting to hear from you soon, as soon as possible. Javi Meller. Javi sent out this email to all the people of members of a Nishay and sat back in her chair, knowing that what kind of women she has met in the last event. She was pretty sure that they would be receptive to her appeal. Second email was sent out the next day, Monday, August 24, 2020, 10:19 a.m. Subject: wow, I can't believe what I'm seeing. Ladies, dear ladies, I want us all to know what kind of a community we are part of. I'm typing these words with my fingers running across the keyboard and tears streaming down my cheeks. You women are unbelievably amazing. I want to update you on all the incredible events that occurred after I sent you uncomfortably the email about my friend, the Kala. Within less than an hour, I received emails asking where I live, since women wanted to come over to drop over the brand new things that they wanted to donate. One super special woman went tremendously out of her way to buy stuff for the Kala, also arranging for her to be able to shop and buy dresses at a store for free, and doing her best to help with many more things. So many of you have been in touch, donating money, reaching out with different ideas for how to help. Sisters, b'zachut nashim tzidkaniyot nigalu Israel. In the merit of righteous women, the nation of Israel was redeemed. Yes, sing each of you, give your utmost and do your best for our Kala. I truly feel as if we're all sisters, all of us in this together. Even though you do not know my friend, and I don't really know most of you, you all pitched in and showed Hashem what a beautiful circle of sisters we have in this neighborhood. People who are here for one another, people who care. Can you hear my heartbeat? I'm overwhelmed by your open hearts and hands, by your generosity and by your kindness. Look at how much the giving could do. Just listen to the end. We will all be on a giving end. We're going to talk about the giving end. With Hashem showering us with his eternal good. And may it be a year filled with health, happiness, and besuras tovos for ganze Klal Israel. With deep admiration for you all, Javi Meller. You follow? Now listen to the punchline. Unbelievable. In all honesty, this would have been already good enough. But listen to what happened. The third email was sent out almost a year later. Thursday, June 10, 2021, 3:28 p.m. Subject: your part is in my personal story. Hi, ladies. I've thought about this a lot, and I have decided to share something personal with you. Even though it is very unlike me to do so. Allow me to remind you about an awesome chesed that you all did about 10 months ago. That week, when all of you were calling and sending in new and beautiful stuff for Akala, who was about to begin her life, with 2 small pots and 4 hand towels, was a life-changing experience for me. At that time, I witnessed, listen to this, the depth of your giving hearts, your warm generosity, and your true desire to help as much as possible, even though you didn't even know who the caller was. I remember how I received over 40 emails from women wanting to help in a million ways when I had sent out the email only an hour before. I remember how by the end of the week, I had received almost 100 emails from people wanting to help. I will never forget how I went onto the balcony of my home with tears in my eyes and a heart filled with amazement. I looked up at the stars and said to Hashem, בזכות נשים צדקניות נגאלו ישראל, ובזכות נשים צדקניות עתידין להיגאל. Meaning, we were saved and maybe be saved again. At that moment, I felt truly uplifted, taking advantage of what I instinctively comprehended was a special moment. And still overwhelmed by the chesed I had just witnessed from all of you, I davened to Hashem from the depths of my heart to send me more children. At the same time, I also used the opportunity to daven for my sister-in-law, who had been married for close to 6 years and was still waiting to be a mother. And for my sister as well, who had been waiting for 4 years. Hashem, I said, please look at the special women in my neighborhood and accept my tears in their schus. Ladies, I'm overwhelmed, overjoyed, and so thankful to Hashem for his endless kindness. And so I'm taking this opportunity to inform you all, every one of you, that my Irina Malka is now 5 weeks old. She had a baby girl. I also want to tell you that my sister-in-law became a mother for the first time last Wednesday to a precious baby girl, and that my sister just had a baby boy 2 hours ago. My dear sisters, did you ever in your wildest dreams imagine when you came over to bring your new towel, knife, peeler, linen, the 3 babies, 3 beautiful Yiddish kinder, would be born in the merit of your awesome chesed? Look how powerful one Zid can be. Thank you for being a part of bringing these children into the world. May Hashem shower each and every one of you with endless joy and nachas, and may you be happy and healthy along with every member of your families. I'm proud to be part of such a great community. Good Shabbos, Chavi Meller. When I saw this, ladies, I said, wow, wow, wow. Bli Ein Hara, we have this lady in our class who is the originator of these classes, who started these classes, our own Elachka, Ela Rachel Bat Lora Larissa. May Kadosh Baruch Hu bless you. May Kadosh Baruch Hu bless your family, bless your husband, bless your children, bless your mother, bless your brothers, every one of your family. May Hashem bless every single sponsor of our class. And may Hashem bless every single participant in our class, among the entire Klal Israel, that we should be zoche to show each other support and chesed and kindness, and be blessed in every area of our lives. And may all our hostages and soldiers be protected and be safe wherever they are, and come home immediately, alive and safe and well and healthy. I would like to tell you that we just finished Shabbat fast, and right before that, there was a beautiful shiur given by Rabbi Joey Haber in Jamaica State. I don't know who ever went or didn't. Anybody went from a class? But I
went.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. So, yeah, so I took notes. And I would like to share with you what Rabbi Joey Haber mentioned. And I hope you will enjoy those that listen to him and they will listen to these messages again. I hope you find them still interesting and enjoyable because I know I do. Rabbi Joey Haber spoke about rebuilding of the Beis Hamikdash. And you know what they say? They say every generation that lives and in their lifetime, Beis Hamikdash is not rebuilt, they are guilty that they're not zoche, they don't have zchut, that in their generation, Beis Hamikdash is not rebuilt. It means they're still guilty. They still didn't fix it. But can we fix somebody else? No. We can only fix ourselves. And we're all tired. We all want Beit HaMikdash already. We all want the third and final Beit HaMikdash. And we all want um, we want peace. We don't want to hear the stories of hostages that hurts and breaks our heart apart and tears us. We don't want to hear about terrorism. We don't want to hear people being in pain, people being in the hospitals, people with the pressure of mental health challenges. We're tired of hearing this. We are ready for Beis Hamikdash to be rebuilt as quick as possible. But our rabbis tell us that the only way that it's going to be able to happen is if there is more peace, if there is more love, if there is more care, belief in one another. And I'm going to try my best to explain how it can be achieved. We all have heard a phrase called that we have heard. You should be a giver and not the taker. We all heard, didn't we? And as a matter of fact, one of the stories that was mentioned in Rabbi Nachman Seltzer's book of Zera Shimshon and Israel was about the letter of this lady, Chavi Meller, who said we should be the giver, right? Everybody hears this phrase. You should be the giver and not the taker. Okay. And Rabbi Joey Haber says that he hates this phrase. He says that he hates this phrase because this phrase creates category, that there are givers and there are takers. That if you are in the category of the givers, those people are usually wealthy, those people are successful, they were given the capabilities to give. And there are others that are in the category of takers. They didn't succeed so much in life, and they take, and you should never be in that category. You should be the giver and not the taker. And Rabbi Joey Haber says in his shur that Am Yisrael was not built on categories. I can't think if that I'm better than you. He said that he was supposed to speak the next day in the morning in bungalow colony, and he received a call from the people who asked him to come to speak, and they told him, Rabbi, can you speak about the topic accepting people's imperfections? So he says, sure, but may I ask you, why is that the topic? He says. And the person says to him, because all they do here in bungalow colony is talk about shidduchim, matchmaking. And then they say, no, that boy needs a classier family. That boy needs a wealthier family. They need a more learned family. He says, I don't even know what those terms mean. Who is classier than who? Who is wealthier than who? Who decides what's the number that makes you a learner or a classier person or a wealthier person? It's true, very true. That's why he says he hates this phrase. That's categorizing. And I could prove it to you, he says. What are the two stories that you know in Tanakh of giving? Two most famous stories in Tanakh of giving is of Avraham Avinu and Rivka Imenu. Avraham Avinu goes outside on a hot day and sees Arabs, and he brings them in, and he gives them milk and bread and tongue, and the famous chesed, one of the most famous chesed story in Tanakh. The second story of giving in Tanakh is that of Rivka Imenu. It's a story of a slave. We know the slave Eliezer, who came with his camels, and this girl comes with a jug of water and gives to camels and goes back and comes back and again. That's an example of giving. Everybody knows these stories since they were 4 years old. But I think, he says, some people don't realize is what happened to Avraham Avinu after he served these guests. These guests came inside, and one of them healed Avraham Avinu. He gave them Refuah Shleimah. And the other one is telling him that he will have a child next year. So now let me ask you a question, he says. Is Avraham Avinu a giver or a taker? He gave for an hour. He took eternity. He gave some food. He received a son. He received a son who became a forefather of the Jewish nation, Jewish people. He didn't do that with that intent, but with that unbelievable interaction of giving goes a tremendous amount of taking. Because we all do that. We are all both. So many people I know, they give, but they also need to take. Maybe I need to take advice. Maybe I need to take your time. The second story is the same thing. The person keeps turning around and bringing water to the camels of some strange slave. A little did she know that that slave was holding a contract in his hands. The contract that will allow her to marry Yitzchak Avinu. Who took more? Who gave more? Did Eliezer give more by giving her a husband, her eternity? Or did she give more by giving them some water? All of us are in positions to give, and all of us are in positions to take. There are no categories. In fact, there's a famous story that Beis Halevi was traveling, and he went and he passes by the inn, and he tells an innkeeper, "Do you have a place to stay? It's cold outside, it's freezing." He says, "I'm so sorry. All the rooms are taken and occupied in the inn." He says, "Please, any place." He says, "I'm sorry. All the places are occupied. Are you sure? I need some place to stay." "Okay, I have a boiler downstairs, the boiler room. I can put a mattress in the boiler room and let you stay." He says, "Fine, I'll take it." So Beis Halevi stayed in the boiler room. "I'll take whatever you got." The next day, a very big Hasidic Rebbe came with this big entourage. Hasidim, they like to travel large. And they come to this inn, and they make a minyan to pray there. And Beis Halevi comes to join them to pray with a minyan. And this Hasidic Rebbe sees Beis Halevi and says, "Wow, Beis Halevi is here," and starts to treat him so nice and gives him respect. The innkeeper says, what's going on?" Hasidic Rebbe says, "Look who's here. Beis Halevi is here." "What? This is Beis Halevi? I put him to sleep in a basement, in a boiler room. I can't believe it. Rabbi Beis Halevi, I have a penthouse for you." He says, "I don't understand. Now that you know that I'm a Beis Halevi, you're offering me a penthouse? Yesterday, when you didn't know who I was, you put me down in a boiler room." We categorize people. We judge people. Our Beis HaMikdash will be rebuilt when we have enough courage to know that we are all the same. There are Ashkenazim, there are Sfaradim. Do you know how many Ashkenazim learn from Sephardim? And do you know how many Sephardim learn from Ashkenazim? Is there a difference? Is there a category? Let me tell you a famous story that has happened and has been told over 2,000 years. And the story had happened last year. There were two brothers that lived on two sides of the town. One brother was wealthy and had no family. Another brother had a beautiful family, large family, but had difficult time with finances. So the single brother said to himself, look, I have all this abundance, all this wealth, and my brother has large family. He says, uh, you know, um, nobody wants to keep all this abundance. Let me go and help him. He took a bundle of wheat and decided to climb over the mountain. He says, let me at least give it to him, show him my love. While he's doing it, while he's climbing, the other brother also thinks to himself, the one who has a big family, he says, my single brother is alone. I have a wife and kids who could help me, but he's alone. Let me help him and show him that I care about him and I love him. He takes a bundle of wheat and he climbs over the mountain to put it on his territory to show his love. And as they're climbing the mountain, they both meet on the top of the mountain, and it was dark, it was late at night. So they say, they couldn't see each other. They say, who is he? Who is here? Who are you? And who are you? And they see that it's their brother. Oh, it's my brother. They dumped their bundle of wheat. They embraced each other. And that's when Hashem said, this is the place where I will build the Beis HaMikdash. This is the place where two brothers didn't judge. This is the place where two brothers didn't categorize. They didn't say who is better and who is worse. Achdus. Unity. Another story that happened last year when the Israeli soldiers were going to Gaza. Gaza, as we know, is a very dangerous and tricky place to enter because every house you go, you don't know where you're going to. What's behind the door? Whoever usually goes first is usually at highest danger, highest sakana. So one soldier, there are two soldiers who were supposed to enter the house in Gaza. So one says, look, I'm single. I'm going first. You're married, you have kids. If chas v'shalom something happens to you, your wife and kids will be left with no husband, no father, chas v'shalom. I can't allow it to happen. I'll go first. And the other soldier said, no, at least if chas v'shalom something happens to be chas v'chalila, I leave my wife and kids behind me. But you need to be more safe. You need to go back to your parents and to your siblings. Two soldiers were fighting over who is going to go into the danger first. Our nation was not built on perfection. Our nation was built on accepting, embracing our imperfections. Our nation is not built on categories. I am learned, you are not. I am I am wealthy, you are not. Chas v'shalom. We are all in it and we are all the same. One of the comments that Rabbi Haber gets the most, he's told, Rabbi, I feel like you're in my living room. Did my wife call you or email you that you need to talk about this? He says, of course not. But we're all the same. We're all the same. We all want better shidduchim for our kids, better shalom bayit, parnasa could be better. We are all the same. That's why our Torah starts with a chesed and ends with a chesed. Rav Chaim Pinchas Scheinberg said, Adam Arishon was given clothes after he sinned. And that was the biggest chesed that he mentioned that Hashem did. He says, wait a minute, but how about all the food, the trees, the plants, stars, birds? That's not chesed. Said Rav Chaim Pinchas Scheinberg. First person created Adam Arishon. He was perfect. So all the stars, birds, and everything Hashem created for him, they are not the best example of chesed. The best example of chesed is after Adam sinned. Hashem gave him clothes. don't judge anybody. Don't judge me if I live in a big house, and don't judge me if I live in a small house. If I live beyond my means or under my means. You mentioned the beautiful story that in a Syrian community that came here 80, 90 years ago, they had one small bad habit. They eat out in not kosher places sometimes. Like fish they bring and ask to cook it for them. He says it's wrong, of course, obviously. And he spoke to one girl, and the girl says to him, "You see, Rabbi, I don't go to NK places, NK not kosher places. I don't go with my family out anymore." And the rabbi says to her, "You don't go to not kosher places? How is it possible? You are left alone? You're not part of the family?" She says, "No. And I don't go with my friends take me out to not kosher places. I tell them I'm sorry, I don't go to those places." And know what Rabbi Joey Haber told her? He said, "You have probably better olam haba than even me." And she said, "What are you talking about, Rabbi? You are a rabbi." And he says, I know I'm a rabbi and my father was a rabbi. But he says, but nobody invites me to not kosher places. Those hot spots like you. He asked, what's the name of the restaurant? And people say hot spot. He says, hot spot. He says, our people go to even more hot spots. He says, nobody, he says, I don't go to hot spots. And he says, nobody invites me to those places. I don't even know, I'm not even aware. I don't even know what it means. He says, but you choose not to go. You hold yourself. You're strong. You don't go and you're not afraid not to lose out on the family. You're not afraid not to lose out on friends. You might have better olam haba than me, he says to her. He brought an example of Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Reuven Feinstein, the son of Rav Moshe Feinstein. That 2 months ago, he was in Passaic, New Jersey, to make speeches. He was in a wheelchair. He was supposed to give a speech downstairs. Mincha was supposed to be upstairs, and then Sudas Shlishis would be downstairs. The Gabbai said, since Rosh Yeshiva is in a wheelchair, let's do it all on one floor in the basement, because Rosh Yeshiva is in a wheelchair, and we don't have to schlep back and forth. Rabbi Reuven Feinstein says to him, can I ask you a favor? Not to do any changes or accommodations because of me? And the Gabbai says, sure, but do you mind me asking why? Listen to Rosh Yeshiva said. So there was another person in a wheelchair over the weekend attending the shul that I noticed. And if he sees that you are doing all these accommodations because of me and not for him, we might hurt his feelings. Rabbi Joey Haber, he was joking, obviously, and he said, do you see sensitivity? He says, if I was in the position of Rabbi Reuven Feinstein, I would say, of course, I'm the son of Rav Moshe Feinstein, Gadol Ador. Of course, I would like to have accommodations if this is the condition that I can't climb and I can't walk. Chas v'shalom. He says, do you know who I am? I don't know who he is. But the joke. But he says, but Rabbi Reuven Feinstein, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein's son, he said, no. If he spotted another man in a wheelchair, he said, we cannot do this because I don't want to hurt his feelings. That for me, people accommodate, for him, they don't. It's not gonna be good. Rabbi Joey Haber also mentioned that once Rabbi Feinstein, and he says he's a student of Rabbi Feinstein. He was once in New Jersey, and he said, I'm gonna go to shul where Rabbi Joey Haber davens because I know he would feel good if he sees me there davening in his shul. He says, look, he says, I'm not his rabbi. I'm only his student. And yet he's concerned that he should make his student feel good, that he comes to the shul where his student davens. Look at the sensitivity. He says, there are girls who are single and that are wealthy and there are girls that are married that are wealthy. There are girls that are single that are beautiful, and that there are girls that are married that are beautiful. And there are girls that are single that have great personality, and there are girls that are married that have great personality. And there are girls that don't have great personality that are single, and there are girls that are married that don't have great personality that are married. He says, we're all the same. Just because we are married doesn't make us better. There were 5 families. They would always go to Florida together on their winter vacation. One family couldn't afford 1 year. It was the story was mentioned in a Circle magazine. It was also mentioned by Rabbi Pesach Kron. And one of the families from these 5 families said to this family who couldn't afford, they said, "I'm sorry, if we are going, you are going." 2 days before the trip, he buys the tickets for his whole family and gives it in. Now they're all in Florida, enjoying during the winter vacation. And on Sunday afternoon, kids were downstairs. 4-year-old kid goes into the pool and he falls, and he was literally drowning. The kids started to scream and ask for help. A man upstairs heard the screams, ran downstairs, jumped into the pool, took the baby from the pool, and saved the kid's life. The man whose kid was saved was the one who gave the tickets. And the man who saved the kid was the one who received the tickets. Who gives? Who takes? That's why the word venatenu is read both ways the same way. Venatenu from right to left, and venatenu from left to right. To give and to take. Moshe Rabbeinu had a stick in his hands, and he was asked by Hashem to throw it on the floor. And when he threw it on the floor, it turned into the snake. And Rabbi Joey Haber says that one of the best examples of leadership is this story of Rabbi Moshe Rabbeinu with a stick. Why? He said, "Who am I to lead?" He says, "What's in your hands? As long as the stick in your hands for you, it's a poison. When you throw it down and you share it, when you would whatever you have, take it and give it and share with somebody. Then you're going to be a leader. No one is better, and no one is worse. No one is one is better than another. No one. It says if you are here only to take and hold to whatever you have, it's okay. Go. It's okay. Chesed 24/7 organization, they are known for helping people who are in the hospital. And he says when his father was alive, Rabbi Joey Haber's father, they were in Cornell University, Columbia Hospital, on the 14th floor. It was sponsored by the Kehila for them to be there. And the Chesed organization 24/7, Chesed 24/7, donated a box that had tablecloth, kiddush cup, and small little things that you need for Shabbos. And when they were there, his sister Hani, who happens to be that she's a home decorator, that's her job. She opens the box and she takes things out and she says, "I will decorate it a little bit, make it look the hospital room to look a little bit nicer." So she decorated the table with the tablecloth, puts everything nice in a fashionable mode, and she puts candles by the windowsill for her and her mom, which is the mother of Rabbi Haber, who was there for Shabbos, that Shabbos when the father was sick. But as she looks out, she notices that on the other side of the hole, it looked like an L-shaped hole. On this other side, through the window, they were able to see Hasidim with streimels. And she calls her mom and she says, Ma, look, there are Jews, Hasidim, and different kinds also. There are some with the streimel, there are some with the regular keepers, etc. And there are a big bunch of them. Looks like they're also like on the other side of the floor. And they said that the entire Shabbos, they kept looking at them and they were davening with the minyan, etc. And they were saying, wow. And they were drawing strength from the looking out the window from these Hasidim. And they were saying, Mi ke'amcha Yisrael, that we all stick out for each other. And we all uh, um, help each other in the difficult moment. And in the middle of Shabbos, they get a knock on the hospital room. And one of the Hasidim from the other side of the floor came to their room. And he says, can I help you? And the sister of Rabbi Haber, Chani, she says, can I do something for you? And he said, no, I just wanted to say good Shabbos. And if everything is okay, if you need anything, he said, I just want to tell you that we noticed from the other side of the floor through the window that there were two Jewish ladies lighting Shabbos candles. And they were davening by the candles. And we couldn't help it, but we kept looking at the candles. We kept looking at the scene, and we were drawing strength from other Jewish person. And we said, Mi ke'amcha Israel. And as Rabbi Haber is telling over the story of what happened to his father and his mother and his sister, he was saying that we as Jews, we have to look up to each other. We have to not judge, but see goodness in each other. Be able to be able to draw strength from each other and give strength to each other. Only then we'll be able to build the Beis HaMikdash. We have to try our best to be more kinder, more happier, more seeking shalom, more understanding, more sensitive, more listening, more giving to each other, and less judgmental. There was a beautiful story told in the book of Baruch Lev. There is no such a thing as coincidence and other stories of divine providence. There was a story told of few stories actually. Let's see how we're going to do with the time. How the power of Chesed can lead us in unbelievable, gigantic way. A number of years ago, the man who is telling the story says he was in London doing some fundraising for a worthy institution right after the disastrous Pan American Airlines plane crash. On board the ill-fated London-New York flight were a number of Jews who lost their lives. Many were saved. Many from that flight were saved. One found a unique way to the stories of the amazing rescues were told. One family reported their son had gotten locked in a bathroom at the terminal and was only released from his prison, so to speak, after the flight had already taken off. Others missed the flight because, for some reason, traffic on the highway to the airport was unusually heavy that day. Dozens of taxis and cars couldn't get through. In fact, a whole group that was traveling together was saved in this way. One person related that when he heard that another airline had built a new terminal, on the impulse he canceled the flight with Pan Am and booked with the other airline, just to see what the new building looked like. These stories and others inspired the Jewish community, for it was obvious that traffic jams and accidents were not just chance occurrences, but that each and every delay had come straight from Hashem. When word of the Pan Am tragedy reached America, hundreds of relatives and friends of the supposed passengers thronged to the airport, anxious for news of their loved ones. At first, no one knew that by a miracle some of the passengers missed the flight. People were in a complete panic. Meanwhile, another plane left London for New York, carrying many of those whom Ashgacha Pratis had saved from the doomed flight. They arrived in New York while the airport was still in uproar. Many of those who had come to the terminal hoping for news of their lost relatives were stunned to see them coming off the second plane, alive and well, in a veritable Tchias HaMesim. The drama repeated itself again and again, as passengers who were supposed to have been on the first flight met relatives who were sure that they would never see them again. Listen to the story. The stage is set. So the person who tells the story, he was supposed to be on the same air flight with Pan American Airlines. He was supposed to go from London to New York to the wedding of the relatives for Thursday night. And he had ticket for Thursday morning flight. Monday morning, he had a terrible, terrible backache. To such an extent, he couldn't move. He went to the doctor. Doctor checks him out. He says, immediately you have to go and check it out. You have to go to the hospital. He sends him to the hospital. He comes Monday thinking, okay, hopefully by Thursday morning for my flight, I will be okay to fly. And he comes to the hospital. They check him out. They tell him that he's admitted. He's like, okay, I can't stay too long. I have a flight. I have to go to New York. I have a wedding to go to. But meanwhile, he cannot walk. He's in pain, excruciating pain. So they do some testing. They do some treatment. They keep him for another day, Tuesday. So they tell him, he tells them, listen, I would like to be discharged on Tuesday. We have to wrap it up. And somehow a visitor from shul comes to visit him. Rabbi Haskell, the visitor for the story. Rabbi Haskell comes to visit him and he says, it's very strange. I was in the hospital for too long. I was there only for 2 days. And he somehow heard from the community, from the shul, that I had a very bad, terrible, terrible back pain, that I had no choice but to be admitted to the hospital. It was so terrible. And this person decided to come and visit me. He comes to visit me and he says, you are planning to go to Israel, not a good to New York, not a good idea. He says to him, I suggest you cancel that flight for Thursday morning if you are having a wedding for Thursday night. He says the reason is you're exhausted already from the hospital trip and stay, and plus you're gonna go Thursday morning. You're gonna be exhausted from the flight. You're not gonna enjoy the wedding. He says you are going to be Misameach Chatan and Kala. He says take and change the flight to Wednesday morning. This way you will get a chance to recuperate from the flight, and by the time Thursday night the wedding comes, you will be already rested. You're gonna have a yeshut vadat, and you're gonna have a calmness of the mind, and you'll be able to go and enjoy, and you'll be able to be Misameach Chatan and Kala. He says, I thought about what he said. I said, you know what? He's probably right. I don't know why, but I'm going to listen to him and I'm going to do what he says. After he leaves Tuesday from the hospital, he calls even from the hospital, he calls the airlines. He says, I need to switch from Thursday morning flight to Wednesday morning. Can I do it? They tell him, of course. So they change and give him Wednesday morning flight. That Thursday morning flight that he was supposed to be on was the tragedy, crash, and people got killed on that airplane. After he heard in the news what happened to that airplane and to those airlines and to that air flight, he couldn't believe that he was saved from death, literally, by this visitor that came to him. And after the wedding was over, after he came back to New London, this visitor says, I would like to talk to you. And this man says, I would like to talk to you. He says, I just want to tell you that when I found out that you were in the hospital, I don't know what happened and what occurred to me, but something kept telling me that I should go and visit you at the hospital. And something forced me that I should come and see if you're okay. And when you told me about your backache and that you were in the hospital for 2 days and you have a flight in another 2 days, I said, that's crazy. You can't do that. He says, I don't know how, but Hashem put those words into my mouth and I had to tell those words to you. He said, do you know you saved my life? And they started to schmooze. And they started to ask, where are you from? Where are you from? And as you know, when two Jews start talking, they always find where are they from and what they're from. So as they're talking, they find out that the man who saved his life, when he was a young boy, he was in the Holocaust. Listen to the story. And he lived in Poland. And when he and his mother, they ran away, and there was a um, there was a there was a there was a lady who saved him in the attic, and the lady who saved and kept giving food, he says for 4 or 5 years that there was a war, World War II, and they didn't come out of the room, but they would come out to shower, let's say, and go back into the room, food, and that's it, no coming out. And he says, the lady who saved my life was your grandmother. Let's look at the way Kadosh Baruch Hu returns the favor. Your grandmother saved my life when I was a young man in the Holocaust. And look, today, not today, but a few days ago, whatever, I was able to come to your hospital stay and ask you, somehow Hashem put those words into my mouth, and ask you to switch your flight. And by switching a flight, you avoided a crash and your life was saved. When we save somebody, Hashem always returns the favor. Nothing is ever lost. And one more story, and we're going to wrap up the class. Also from the same author, the same book. It was a guy from Europe comes to America to study in yeshiva. And as he comes, he didn't speak a word of English. He only spoke Yiddish. And he called car service in those times. There was no Uber at that time. And he asked them, he gives the address of the yeshiva. And somehow the car service brought him to the wrong address. It was Friday. And it was, he was supposed to be in yeshiva, but he brought him the wrong place, and he realizes that he can't call. He doesn't speak English, and he didn't know where to go. So he asked somebody, about the shul somehow in Yiddish, and while he's standing, a car stops by and sees him completely dressed as a Yid, and he tells him in fluent Yiddish that where is he from and that he need a place to stay. He says, of course. He says, I need a place to stay. He says, come into my car. It was a bungalow colony. He says, come, I'm going to feed you. I'm going to take care of you. And tomorrow you could go to wherever you want to go to. Fine. He comes, he feeds him, takes care of him. It was not Shabbos, it was Thursday. Shabbos would be the next day. And the next day he drove him to the yeshiva, this guy, and he asked him his name. And before the name of the host. And the name of the host was, let me see if I could find it. The name of the host was the name of the host was, I'll tell you exactly, because I don't want to. Oh, yeah. Gavriel Berman. The name of the host was Gavriel Berman. So this man, his name was Yona. He couldn't find enough words to express his gratitude, how he saved him, literally. He didn't speak English. He all of a sudden he shows up like a malach. He speaks Yiddish, and he brings him to his home. He feeds him. He takes care of him. He gives him a place to sleep. The next morning, he takes him to his yeshiva. Unbelievable. What a chesed. And he was so touched by the hospitality. And he says to himself, if I ever reach that level that I'm able to host guests in my house in a beautiful way, the way this man, Mr. Berman, Gabriel Berman did, I would love to do that. Years go by, 30 years go by. And this Yona, he already, after a few years, he goes back to Europe, and then he ends up becoming a businessman, and he builds a beautiful home, family, gets married, children. And he always was known for hospitality. And he always would have guests. Always. Whenever somebody comes to town, they have nowhere to go. Who do they call? Rabbi Yona. Rabbi Yona. Rabbi Yona already became sick, and he became he already wasn't feeling well, and he was already not in the best condition of health. And he was in a hospital, and he was released to go from the hospital home to spend the last few days left with the family. Fine. That Friday, somebody comes to town, and from Israel, and the car service drops them off in front of the shul, and it was 2 hours before Shabbos, and the guy doesn't know where to go. The reason it happened was because he was on the air flight, this person, and the pilot and the air crew, they announced that there is some kind of a technical difficulty, that they have to make a stop, emergency stop, emergency stop in where was it? Emergency stop, I'll tell you exactly, in London, emergency stop in London, and that after a few hours, they will resume the flight and go. But this guy was a frum Jewish guy. He understood that they could run into Shabbos. He says, I can't. He goes over to the pilot and crew, and he tells them that he can't. He has to get over the plane, and he has to get his luggage, and he has to find a place where he to stay in London. He cannot fly. It's going to be Shabbos. So they tell him, okay. Then they give him his luggage. He takes car service, and he tells the car service guy, just bring me to Orthodox Jewish neighborhood. Just bring me to in front of the shul. And the car service brings him to Jewish neighborhood. It was 2 hours for Shabbos. And the shul was closed. He was sitting on the step, and he was holding on to the luggage, hoping that somebody will come to open the shul, and somebody maybe will host him. A gabbai comes all dressed in white and ready for Shabbos to open the shul and prepare the place for Shabbos. And he tells him that this is what happened. He got stranded because his air flight, something went wrong, and they had to do emergency landing in London. His first time in his life in London. And he says that would it be possible that somebody from the community could host him because of what happened? The guy says, of course. He says, I'm so sorry, but my house is full. I'm fully booked. My house is full. All the guests that I already planned and organized, proposed, that they're all already invited. There's no room for me to host you. But I have a list of all the congregants in our shul. Let me make some phone calls. So he makes phone calls, one after another. Everybody says they're full. They're booked. He doesn't know what to do. He says, what about Rabbi Yona? He says, Rabbi Yona, let me call Rabbi Yona. He calls, and as soon as he calls and the son picks up the phone, he forgets that, my goodness, why'd they call him? Just a few days ago, he was released from the hospital because he wasn't doing so well, to spend the remaining lifetime he left with his family, to say goodbye to the family. And I'm going to bother with this question of the hospitality. Oh my gosh, what they think of. And he says, you know what? It was a mistake phone call. He says to the son, he says, no, tell me why you called. And he says, this is what happened. There's a man here. The air flight delayed. And the father overhears the conversation, Rabbi Yona. He says, tell the guest to come. I want to have a guest in my house. Okay. So he invites the guest over. He says, not only that, the son says, I'm going to come to where you are at the shul address. I'm going to pick him up, and I'm going to bring the guest into my house, and we're going to host him. Fine. He drives, he picks him up, he brings him. He shows beautiful hospitality, beautiful set table. Everything was amazing. The guest room, everything was beautiful. Everything was because Rabbi Yonah's family was known for hospitality and they were able to afford it. And so Friday night, Shabbos lunch, and then Shabbos Seudah Shlishit, Rabbi Yonah feels a little bit better and he says, I would like to join the dining room to meet the guest because he wasn't feeling well. He was in his room. He had a private doctor with him. So private doctor wheels him in a wheelchair to the dining room. And as he sees, they start conversing with the guest. And as he's speaking, he finishes his sentence. He rolls his eyes, and the doctor sees that something is not quite well. He wheels him back to his room, and he returns his holy soul back to his creator. And there is a commotion, and everybody comes to say goodbye to the father. And this man comes to the room. He says, asks permission from the son. He says, do you give me permission to come to the room, to your father? They say, yes. So he comes and says, Rabbi Yonah, blessed is the womb that gave birth to such a son like you, who all his life performed mitzvot, that even at the last moment on planet Earth, that before you returned your holy, pure soul back to your creator, you did it while doing and performing the mitzvah of Achnasat Orchim. May the mitzvah of Achnasat Orchim that you all your life did be your protector, be your malach, be your agent that will escort you up to Shamayim and meet Shekhinah. And as the kids are crying, the sons, and as Shabbat was over, they as the guest was trying to leave, the son says, it's usually not a custom in our house to ask the name of the guest, not to embarrass, because sometimes we have guests who are a little bit more poor than others, and we don't want to embarrass them by asking, what's your name? He says, but do you mind if I ask you your name? He says, Gavriel Berman. The guest was Gavriel Berman. And the son says, you have no idea how many years my father was trying to look for you. Every time he would try to reach out to Bungalow Colony, where he first stayed as a young bacher when he was from Europe, and he came to America to study. And he says he was told by the landlord that there are too many tenants that come and leave that he rents at Bungalow Colony for the summers. He doesn't know who is he referring to. He says he cannot tell him, and no matter who he asked, he couldn't locate him. As they try to tell his name, he understands that this was the same bacher that Rabbi Mr. Gavriel Berman hosted in his Bungalow Colony many years ago when he was young. And look at the turn of events. 30 years later, he returned the favor of the chesed of hospitality. HaKadosh Baruch Hu turned everything around, that he returned the favor by hosting him when he was stranded. Whenever we do something for others, it always comes back to us, to our children, always. And may the zechut of us learning about chesed, about love, about not judging, about peace, may we all learn and draw something from today's class. We become stronger, and by doing our efforts, what we do every day towards our spouses, towards our children, towards people we come in contact with, may Mashiach come b'karov. May Hashem send complete Geulah. May Hashem bring all the hostages home immediately, alive and healthy and well, and keep them safe wherever they are. May the soldiers come back home immediately. May each one of you have your own Yeshuot. And may Mashiach come, and may it be barachamim gdolim. I love you all. Stay safe. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Rebbitzin. It was a beautiful class today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. We love you dearly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I love you too.
Thank you. I love you too.